guys. I'll do a little baiting here. It may work, it may not, but it's all good. In the meantime, I'm going to watch a video.
Let's take you to Beirut, where Hamas spokesman Osama Hamdan is speaking.
As our people cannot find anything to starvation war against more than 700,000 Palestinians in this region. The whole world should remember always that this war has started with a clear decision that emanated from the government of the Israeli occupation forces, Netanyahu, and the defense minister, Gallant, when they decided last October 9 to stop and not allow any water or fuel to access Gaza. This is a war crime, and the world did not do anything about it or to put an end to it. Even after the International Court of Justice has declared that this is a war crime or intentional war crime against the people in Gaza Strip. The situation is escalating, the situation is dire, and the whole world is watching every day as our children and our women are screaming and suffering in the north. And even after many people died because of hunger, now the situation is really urgent. The willingness of the Israeli occupation forces to let our people die out of hunger with an intent to commit a war crime, this is threatening the lives of more than 10,000 Palestinians who could die. As our people are waiting for the international community and the United Nations with all its agencies to take the concrete steps immediately in order to let all the aids enter the strip and to put an end to the besiege and to end these massacres, we are surprised with the decision of FAO in order to stop all the food aids to northern Gaza after 3 days of trying or attempts to let some very small aids to get into Gaza as this humanitarian crisis is deepened every day in this region. We call on FAO and all the UN agencies, including UNRWA, not to surrender to the decision of the enemy and all its decisions to impose a war crime and to resume their activities and operations in northern Gaza and to take concrete steps and measures in order to rescue our people and offer some relief in order to avoid the hunger that is now threatening the lives of our people and to take responsibility. Our national duty also is imposing on us in order to take concrete measures and to put an end to the besiege and to convene. And according to the urgent summit that took place last month, they need to take concrete measures immediately in order to put an end to this war and to avoid hunger in northern Gaza. We also send a message to all the governments, to people and international institutions across the world who are refusing the ongoing besiege on Gaza to take moves and to act swiftly in order to put an end to the actions and crimes of the Israeli occupation forces and to allow all the food and aids assistance to access this Strip of Gaza by land and sea. We also send a message to our brothers on the official level and to all the people from all the countries where the assistance trucks are being sent to the occupier. We send a message so that all those aid trucks should be suspended until the besiege on Gaza is ended. And all the merchants that are dealing with, and businesses that are dealing with Israel, we tell them that this trade and this business, this is those profits are stained with blood of Palestinians. Do you accept this? Do you accept to have unlawful profits? Second, as the schemes and plans against Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa Mosque continue, and all the raids and daily crimes in West Bank and in Al-Ayyash Bank, the Israeli occupation forces continue its war against Al-Aqsa Mosque and are continuing to take measures to restrict and prevent Palestinians from accessing the mosque during as Ramadan approach. Those settlers, extremist settlers who are taking those measures, is a religious war and a war against our religion. That is, and those measures are against our mosque, as those extremists continue to commit those crimes against Al-Aqsa Mosque and all the people who would like to access the mosque. We confirm that Al-Aqsa Mosque was purely Muslim and will continue to be so. There will be no sovereignty and there will be no control from the occupier, regardless their schemes and regardless their power. Our people and our nation will continue to defend the mosque with all the means until it is completely freed from the hands of the occupier. We call our people in Palestine, in Jerusalem, and in the West Bank to refuse those decisions and to reject those decisions and any other similar decisions, and also to continue to protect Al-Aqsa, the blessed Aqsa, against all those crimes and to block all those decisions and schemes that are aimed against the Al-Aqsa. Anything that could touch the freedom of worship in Al-Aqsa will never be not held accountable, regardless the
This translator sucks. It's like making it harder to follow than it should be. It's like I can't really get engaged.
prices and the sacrifices. We renew our message to our nation that defending Al-Aqsa Mosque is defending the pride and the dignity of our nation, and also is defending the holy sites and the mosque of the Prophet and all the holy sites of our, and it is also defending all the Arab nations. And if we hesitate in defending Al-Aqsa Mosque or to pay the prices in order to protect Al-Aqsa, will have only one meaning, which is not being able to defend our pride and our dignity and our holy sites. Third, regarding the hostages swap, we would like to confirm that the government of Netanyahu think that prolonging the war will help them not to be held accountable is still not accepting the fair propositions and the fair demands of Hamas and the different Palestinian factions, including to stop the aggression and to let all the displaced people to go back to their homes and to lift the siege in order to reconstruct everything that was destructed by the occupation forces. We have tried to deal with them reasonably and based on our priorities, including to put an end to the war against people in Gaza and to put an end to their humanitarian suffering, and that all the displaced can go back to their homes, and also to lift the siege and to start reconstructing the strip. We have been positive and we adopted a positive stances, including to put an end to the war against people in Gaza and to put an end to the suffering that was imposed by the Israeli occupation forces, and also the right of displaced people to go back to their homes in northern Gaza and in all the different areas of Gaza, and also to allow the assistance to access Gaza and to start immediately the construction of Gaza. Netanyahu should be held responsible. And he also instructed the delegation with 4 main points, including not to stop the war, not to retrieve from the strip.
I've heard this take, and it really depends on where you're getting your news. See, from what I've seen, over 90% of all casualties have been civilians. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a fact. It's not even like propaganda or anything. Like, from my perspective, from what I can tell, they're not even making any effort at all to target just Hamas. They're making excuses and claiming that they're using like that Hamas is using like civilians as shields or whatever, but I've seen zero evidence to support that. Also, it's went even further. And also, South Africa and the International Court of Justice pretty much made their case. And even though the ICJ is highly West leaning and had an advantage, they basically ruled that they're committing a genocide, or at least that it's probable or it's likely that they're committing a genocide. Sorry. So I obviously will say that it's fucked up that October 7th, I believe. What I'm not great with numbers or dates, but obviously Hamas's attack was atrocious. Anyone would say that's fucked up. But I believe personally, based on what I've seen, I'm biased by what I've seen, but I think that it was used. I think they were looking for something, and it was used as a sort of justification to like basically ethnically cleanse shit. Because from what I can tell, that's exactly what they're doing. They're blocking aid. Like, if they were just attacking Hamas, they wouldn't do that. They're literally like trying to fucking kill people. I don't know a whole lot. Rash knows a lot more than I do, but from what I have seen, that's my opinion of it.
Not to allow this place to go back to the north, to northern Gaza, and not to have any concrete deal for hostages swap. The personal interests of Netanyahu, who is backed with the extremist settlers, those goals are against all the stances that are being put on the table. This requires from international community and all the concerned countries to review the situation in an objective way, as the government of Netanyahu insists in continuing the war in Gaza against our people, not caring of killing more prisoners that are with the resistance. As they continue to bomb, they will never stop by any initiatives. This requires clear and firm stances and practical measures against the occupier that should put an end to this war and to also meet the requirements and the aspirations of our people, meaning putting an end to the occupation on our land. We confirm once again that this army failed to achieve their goals, including to eliminate the resistance or to bring back or release the hostages, will not be able to achieve those goals in any steps or any phase of this war, and that the resistance, the Palestinian resistance, including Al-Qassam brigades, will continue to face this army until they eliminate them completely. Fourth, regarding the report of the High Commissioner, High Envoy of the United Nations regarding what is being committed against the women and children in Gaza. In the report that was issued regarding human rights, the High Commissioner Office issued a report on 11 February that confirmed that women and girls in Palestinian are being violated systematically by the Israeli forces since the start of the attacks on October 7 in Gaza and West Bank.
I wonder if I can find the alternative view. Stop attacking me, kitten. I don't know if that would work or not. Frickin' ads. Hamas drew first blood originally, or are you talking about October 7th? Because this has been going on for a very, very long time. They ethnically cleansed civilians. I don't think what Hamas did is considered ethnically cleansing. That requires a whole lot more death and destruction than what was done. Also, you could make the case that just in terms of magnitude of like deaths and damage done, it's already surpassed it like many, many times over, which is why I have the theory that it was used as a justification for something that Israel had been wanting to do for a long, long time. It's true, but I don't think it's like anti-Semitism. It's like, see, this is the thing, and I believe Israel's done this for a very long time. And there is anti-Semitism, so make sure you don't like get me twisted here. But they've used anti-Semitism as like a way to get around doing anything wrong. Whenever they occupied the West Bank, and international courts said it was illegal, anyone who said anything to them, they would go, "Oh, you're just anti-Semitic. You don't like Jews." And it kind of shut it down, made it to where no one's allowed to even criticize them, even when the criticism is completely valid. Like, there should never be a situation to where you can't criticize another group or nation. And then it just automatically gets considered like, oh, you're racist or whatever, because that's not always the case. But I have something else here from a different point of view. I'm just kind of curious. Gonna have to get through some damn ads though.
Hey, Chuck, you know what? FanDuel is coming to the Tar Heels.
You are taking a live look over at the Israel-Gaza border here as Israel's prime minister is urging that, quote, local officials who are not affiliated with terrorism will govern Gaza after the war. Netanyahu presented the security cabinet with his plans for a post-war Gaza, saying the strip must be ruled by people who are not affiliated with Hamas. The Palestinian Authority, though, rejecting the plan as an attempt to, quote, prolong the genocide. In the meantime, the Israeli War Cabinet voting to send a delegation to Paris for a discussion on a deal that would free the remaining hostages that were taken by terrorists back on October 7th and also bring a ceasefire, at least temporarily. I want to talk about all the latest developments here, so let's bring in a special guest, Dr. Melanie Garson, Associate Professor in International Conflict Resolution and International Security at University College London. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, so first off, I do want to talk about this plan that Netanyahu did release over to the cabinet. This is about the post-war Gaza and who will rule it. What essentially do we know now about this plan? And my follow-up question here, does Netanyahu have the authority, the power to decide this?
It's a really good question, and it's an interesting plan, and the timing of it as well is particularly critical as they go into another set of negotiations. There's been a big call to say that Israel doesn't have a vision of what day zero looks like in Gaza. The plan fundamentally focuses on no reconstruction without demilitarization, holding a strong security zone also on the Egyptian border. So it required, in this plan, continuing security presence from the Israelis within Gaza until the reconstruction and stabilization has happened. It is a decentralized approach, relying on bringing together a combination of figures that would have authority but are distant from Hamas, and not just Hamas, but also from Fatah, from Palestinian authorities, particularly what's been cited, the pay for slay kind of policies, so that to really try and minimize anybody associated with terrorism or the supports of the structures of terrorism within it. And then it sort of moves forward, what would the reconstruction look like, and de-radicalization, and particularly highlights bringing in what would be like-minded countries such on de-radicalization, particularly thinking about Saudi or UAE into this process, although he does not have those commitments yet. And those countries have stated that they, will only see sort of relations in the context of a Palestinian state. So it's a broad-ranging plan, keeping Israel in security control and trying to sort of devolve political control to non-terror associated entities or policies.
There's been a lot of protests, I would say an uptick outside of Israeli lawmakers' homes and other public officials there, as folks are calling for essentially elections. They want to have an election for prime minister here. Is it possible that Netanyahu is actually ousted from office while this war is ongoing? Because he said that he doesn't want elections to be held while there is a war. So is it possible he's actually ousted?
Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce.
I mean, there has been talk about it's extremely difficult. I mean, there were talks about originally should he have taken responsibility and stepped down, or even admitting responsibility wouldn't necessarily require a resignation. The general sense it would definitely have to call an election very soon after the war is ended at any point. So there would have to be an early election, but the sense it's possible, and the process is involving no confidence votes from his own parties or movement from his own support base to another support base to indicate that he doesn't have the full support to be able to carry this forward. It's still slim, and I often see the situation a bit like the squirrel from Ice Age that's holding on to the nut very, very, very tightly, even though everything else is swirling around him. And I don't perceive from what we've seen that he's going to let go of that until he's seen, from his perception, through what he sees to be an end point to the war as it stands.
Another topic that's being discussed right now is this delegation that the war cabinet.
Take it easy, Eddie. This doesn't seem to be, I mean, it's obviously biased. All news is biased, but it doesn't seem to be as bad as I was expecting. It's relatively objective. They're just kind of covering things from a specific angle. As long as both sides do that, I think you can just watch both sides and you can get a general idea of what's actually going on. Because the left constantly try to attack the right and vice versa. So if there's bullshit, the other side's going to call it and present facts or whatever. It keeps things in check. The problem is most people don't look at both sides. So they think whatever their side is just fucking, they're telling all truth. They're the good guys, which is funny. I wonder if there's anything wrong with like streaming the live chat. Stop attacking my mouse cord, butt. I will tear you up. How do you guys feel about chat espionage? Jesus Christ. Mischievous little bastard. All right, that was annoying. Yeah, where was I at? Yeah. What do you guys think about chat espionage? You think it's wrong? Is it immoral? I kind of look at it, or at least I can see both sides, but I look at it like you're in a public chat. And anything that you say there should be, I mean, you shouldn't be trying to hide anything. Otherwise, why are you saying it in the public chat? But I think many people would say that it's wrong. There really isn't much. There's only like 2 people engaged in there right now anyway, so it wouldn't even be worth doing. Normally I'm available like late night at like 1 a.m. or so. So I decided I would give a try doing some daytime to see what happens. It seems, I don't know. There's not as much activity as I expected, to be honest. True. I think some people have like I don't know how to word it, like a feeling that they're anonymous because it's online. So it's like they're more likely to be transparent than they would otherwise. Not everyone. Some people have had bad experience, or they learn from bad experiences from other people, and they decide to be more private as a result. I was going to try to get Pip on, but he ended up blocking me after I talked to his lady friend. She came on live. She made me take it down though. I don't know if that's exactly the reason why he blocked me, but I think so, because there's really nothing else I've done. That does happen. For sure. It really depends on the person and why they're online, like the intent behind it. That's true. I can see it from the other side. I don't know. I'm wired differently. I don't care. Well, I do care to some extent, obviously. I'm not going to go around giving people the names of my children or some shit. That would just be stupid. But, yeah. It'd be nice to get Emily on here, but I doubt she would ever do something like this. I was trying to do the Israel-Palestine thing and come at it from both angles. Partially, anyway, but I don't know. I'm not interested at the moment. Not that it doesn't matter. It's just, I don't know. It's the same shit in the news. and I'm moody. Sometimes I'll be into it and then I'll dig in, but at the moment I'm really not. I've got a feeling you're up to some sort of mischief, like you're wanting to like make someone else look bad or something. Who is the roof woof woof dude with the like little Chihuahua dog pick? I'm like terrible at knowing who socks are or people that change their name in ABI frequently. I almost started baiting by playing a frickin' like communist video. It's like communist propaganda. If it's a YouTube video, you don't have to give me an, well, actually YouTube should post. But even if not, if it's YouTube, you could just give the title and I could find it that way. It also depends on how long it is. I'm not sure how to do that because I'm on StreamYard links to YouTube, but it's not the same thing as being in YouTube chat. Give me a second. It's probably going to be feedback for a minute. You should be able to do whatever you're looking to do. All right, let me see here. Five minutes, not bad. That's perfect for this sort of thing. Let's see what this is all about. The guided tour. I can't do no guided tour with the webcam. All right.
Good old Mohammed. In Islam, Muhammad is considered a person who has reached perfection. He embodies the divine attributes of God, and Muslims consider him the ultimate role model. Surah 33, verse 21 is just one of many pieces of text that sets this out. Ibn Arabi, a Sufi mystic philosopher and poet, also helped establish this idea. The situation in Europe today is as if Muhammad was still alive. His strict followers of Islam are behaving exactly the same way as Muhammad did, because he was a criminal and he was a warlord. And if Muhammad was still around and he behaved the same way as he did in the 7th century, he'd rack up a pretty impressive list of criminal convictions, just like myself. Let's have a look at some of them. Rape and molestation of a minor. In the Bukhari Hadith, volume 5, book 58, 234 and 235, it states that Muhammad was engaged to Aisha when she was 6 years old. Yes, 6. He consummated that marriage, or he raped her, as most people would say, when she was just 9. In the UK, the molestation and rape of a minor results in the prosecution under the Sexual Offences Act. If convicted, Muhammad could face life imprisonment. Physical assault and child abuse. What a guy. Muhammad struck his wife Aisha in the chest. He beat up her child, causing her great pain. Under UK law, Muhammad would be charged under the Offences Against the Persons Act, which carries between 2 and 7 years imprisonment. He could also be charged under the Child and Young Persons Act 1933, with a sentence of up to 10 years imprisonment. Sex slaves. After beheading the men of Banu Qurayza, Muhammad took women and young girls as sex slaves. Being charged with sex slavery is punishable by up to life imprisonment. What a guy! Along with the charge of sex slavery, Muhammad would also face charges of rape, which is also punishable by up to life imprisonment. And by the way, if any of the followers of Islam deny this, there are many other stories that involve Muhammad raping, murdering, and enslaving. Sophia. She was the daughter of a Jewish tribal chief. She was married to a man called Kanana. Upon learning that Kanana had hidden his treasures, Muhammad instructed his men to burn him with a hot iron rod, set fire to his stomach until he revealed his secrets. His men then beheaded Kanana. Muhammad took his wife, Sophia, that night as a sex slave. This story is explained in the biography of Muhammad by Ibn Ishaq. That's one of the most recognized biographies of the Prophet Muhammad in the world. This brings us to torture. Yes, torture.
Seems like a decent stopping point. I was trying to wait. Gold mine. There's several people that want to hear you, dude. You should come up after this is over, or even while it's playing. It can be brief. People just want to hear you. But yeah, well, first, I'm surprised this dude's got balls at the very least. Jeez. Surprised he hasn't been attacked. Maybe he has.
Under Article 3 of the Human Rights Act, torture is punished severely. It has also been illegal for centuries under English common law and would likely result in a life sentence. Robbery. By torturing Kanana and stealing his treasures, Muhammad would also receive a charge of robbery. Once again, English law says that a person guilty of robbery or of an assault with intent to rob shall on conviction on indictment be liable to life imprisonment. Terrorism. This is the point. Terrorism. Muhammad promoted violence against all those who created fitna, which by its Quranic definition is disbelief in Muhammad and Allah. You know, every non-Muslim. In the Bukhari Hadith, it shows that Muhammad instructed people to fight all people unless they believed in Allah and that Muhammad is Allah's apostle. By ordering his followers to become terrorists, Muhammad would be charged under the Terrorism Act of the year 2000. The Act states that terror is a threat that is designed to intimidate the public or a section of the public, and that the threat is made for the purpose of advancing political, religious, or ideological causes. Once again, this means life imprisonment for Mo, planning and organising assassinations. Muhammad also ordered the murder of Al-Ashraf, a Jewish poet who wrote insulting verses about Islam. Muhammad asked his followers, "Who will rid me of this man?" which resulted in his people stabbing Al-Ashraf to death. The story can be found in Bukhari, Volume 5, Book 59, number 369. By conspiring to commit murder, Muhammad would face yet another life sentence under Section 1A and 2A of the Criminal Law Act 1977. Well done, Mo. Top guy. Mass murder. Ibn Kathir, one of the most revered and influential Sunni scholars of all time, cites the Quran's chapter 33 and verses 26 to 27 and 9 to 10 as explaining Muhammad's attack against the Banu Qurazi tribe. Muhammad and his followers beheaded around 800 men and boys. If done today, Muhammad would be in prison for the rest of his life. After being charged for mass murder and potentially even war crimes, Muhammad would serve a life imprisonment sentence for every man he personally killed, and hefty sentences for lives taken as a result of him instructing his men to do the same. Believe it or not, this is not an exhaustive list. I could spend weeks talking about the crimes committed by Muhammad, but just the ones I've outlined would land the so-called prophet with monumentally large prison sentences. He would be sentenced to a minimum of 12,122 years in prison. This would be a funny statistic if these horrible crimes didn't still affect us today. Muhammad was a criminal warlord who beat and molested children. He beheaded innocent people, he robbed, he pillaged, and he raped. And his followers emulate him. It's easy to get emotional and shout, not all Muslims, despite the fact that none of us have ever said that anyway. Yeah? But it's important we look at the facts. The historic texts, the Quran and the Hadiths make it clear that Muhammad committed these crimes. They also make it clear that he was the perfect man. Yes, perfect. And that leaves me with one question for everyone on the left and everyone who opposes us. Do you really believe this doesn't pose a threat to your way of life? Thank you for watching. If you like that and you want to see more,
I guess I should include this.
click like and subscribe.
Interesting. I feel like I should have Rash on to defend. I can't really verify everything, and I bet that there's something that would be said in defense there, or that it's just not true. I don't know. But from without having done any sort of research, it sounds legitimate. And of course, I'm not like a Muslim apologist. Yeah, I've got many bad things to say about Christianity as well. But I know a lot more about Christianity than I know about Islam. I don't know. I feel like he should at least have the opportunity to defend, though. And if he does deflect, you can just call it out. So it doesn't really hurt anything. And I do like how he basically he nips in the bud that people are going to go not all Muslims. So he kind of takes out the low-hanging fruit already and makes it clear that he's just talking about the facts of how things were from his perspective. Yeah. And it makes it to where people don't automatically think he's coming from like a position of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Bigotry that's like clouding his judgment. Because if that were the case, then he would just be like, yeah, I don't think he would say that unless he's doing so just to make it seem more legitimate, I guess. I didn't know that. Recently? Like, is this current news or something? Yeah, I think one of my last streams, you got into it with him for a long time. Although I was having trouble following it all. I'll check that out while I'm here. It's not long too. What do you mean because they aren't Muslim? Take it easy, Odyssey. I'll watch this. I'm probably going to shut down after that, though. My baiting isn't mastered.
Majid revealed the deep divisions between him and Mo on how to interpret Sharia law.
Has there been any evolution in your own thinking as a result of your interactions with Tommy?
I don't know particularly. I think I come from a very, reasonable place.
If your views haven't changed, then I assume, if I may, that your perspective on, say, the Quran says, "As-sariqu was-sariqatu faqta'u aydihima." The male and female thief, cut their hands off. Would you agree with chopping off someone's hand as a punishment for theft?
No, I don't agree with chopping off someone's hand as a punishment for theft.
That's a valid point. Well, I don't know what's going on because of what you just said. It's not really being covered, so I have to dig in to find it. So I don't know if it's comparable or what, but I am curious. I definitely want to learn about this.
Islamic State existed, should it chop off someone's hand for theft if all the Sharia conditions are met? Please, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Please answer that. Yes or no?
Look,
I'll tell you my answer. No. What's yours?
On some of my theological views, I'm clear. On other theological views, I'd like to hear what the consensus of the scholars would be.
Right.
And on other theological views, I'm not made up.
Sir, Anjem, you haven't had a hair on your body touched by this government or this country. You haven't spent a day in prison. You haven't suffered one bit for your views. You're allowed to sit here right now because of freedom and democracy in your so-called caliphate. You'd have me killed, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you have me? Am I an apostate that deserves death?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, Majid Nawaz is part of an apostate organization called the Quillian Foundation.
Would you have me
He's paid by Alan Johnson and Gordon Brown to say what he's saying.
So how many thousands of pounds a year do you get on
this man gets £2 million with his and his organization in order to fight against the Islamic Muslims.
So just a moment. So it is true that they're evading, but at the same time, I don't like this tactic. This is what I call the Jesse Lee Peterson. He has a tendency, obviously it's not perfectly analogous to what's going on here, but he has a tendency to call people, he'll have them come on and he'll corner them to make it to where they can't explain, which to me is a really shitty tactic because you're trying to simplify something too much. Like he'll ask something about gay or something and he'll be like, yes or no, yes or no. And he won't let them explain. And oftentimes, and I'm not saying it's the case here, but oftentimes it's complicated and you want to explain so that he isn't like strawmanning your position. And that's why I call it the Jesse Lee Peterson. But anyhow, I'll continue this.
Look, he's asked you two questions. Firstly, under your caliphate, he would be executable, would he?
He would be judged by an Islamic judge. And then after that,
and his second question, his second question, did you hear that?
Repeat the second.
How many thousands of pounds are you receiving from the British government every year on dole money? On dole money. How many? Are you on the dole? Are you on the dole?
At the end of the day, when you lose the argument, it's very easy.
So now I'll ask you again: have you had a hair on your body touched by freedom and democracy?
For both of you, obviously.
If I'm judged an apostate by a Sharia court judge, will I be executed in your caliphate? Answer that question.
You know very well that you have left the deen of al-Islam because you side with the enemies of Islam against the Muslims.
As a judge,
the one who stands with them is one of them.
Yeah, what I just called the Jesse Lee Peterson is not what's going on here. He's just wanting him to answer the damn question. He's like automatically evading it and going to a different topic. So the dude isn't trying to push him to like oversimplify. He's just wanting him to answer.
I'd be executed as an apostate.
Well, you know what the
You've asked him about
apostasy.
this question is getting to Michael Howard levels. You've asked it dozens of times. You're not going to answer.
Submit yourself.
You're not going to answer the question, right? Would you like to live in a Sharia state?
It depends where it is. I've been.
You wouldn't like this country to become a Sharia state.
I don't think it would.
Would you like it to be?
Obviously, I would like to live under Sharia.
And in that, you would condone stoning of adulterers, for example.
No, not necessarily. It's a far bigger issue, Jeremy, than this. You cannot just pick and choose bits and bobs of the Sharia. It's a very broad issue. The social strata, the circumstances have to be
so what if the
ideal
Sharia
for this to take
conditions?
place.
What if the Sharia conditions for stoning were
This
met?
has nothing to do with the education. Let's look at the education.
No, but
thing,
that's
which
what's
is
being
what this
taught in the
is all about.
schools. So
It's not being taught
if
in
the Sharia
schools.
conditions for stoning the adulterer were
It's
met,
not being taught in
then
schools.
is that something in principle we should condone?
It's not being taught in school.
If we cannot sit on Newsnight and openly say that in principle we don't condone the stoning of adulterers or the chopping of the hands if Sharia conditions are met anywhere in the world, then we've got a problem. Because I would condemn that in principle.
This is not what we were here to
You do,
discuss.
presumably, don't you? You do condemn the amputation of hands and the stoning to death.
If it's not according to a due process of law in any situation,
So if it's by due process, it's okay to stone people to
but
death.
The fact is that these things are not taught in schools.
No, Ibrahim, sorry,
I've worked in
process, is it okay to stone people to death by due process?
This thing is not taught in school.
Right.
Yeah, it's a valid point. They're evading everything. It's, to me, I'll just look at it from my point of view. Obviously, I'm an atheist, but if I were, I've always said, if you are religious, Christian, Muslim, doesn't matter, you stand by your convictions no matter what, or you're kind of, wouldn't you call it fake? Like this is scripture. This is like the word of God. Your beliefs are concrete. So I don't know. It's weird to me that they're not willing to answer questions. I mean, all they have to do is explain. I mean, sure. I mean, say yes or no and then explain. D. Are you Emily? I don't know. There's a guy, I went on his stream a few times. It's called EA Dawa. And I will put it down. He runs a YouTube live stream. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him. But I stopped going there because I didn't like certain things that they were doing. But I think that he would answer these questions. And I think he let me on his stream. So he just lets people up and you can discuss things with him. He's a Muslim. And I don't know. I would be curious to see what he would say there. Beck. I don't see Beck unless he blocked me. The masturbating isn't working so well today. Oh. I think Dawa means something. I'm obviously ignorant because there's other people that have that. I think it means that they're like welcoming people to Islam or something. Because usually it'll be like their name and then Dawa. So I don't think that's his name. That's like I don't know exactly what it means. I was mainly kidding, D. Although I don't know for sure one way or another, I've got to admit. Is that true? The only thing I've heard is he was accused by someone else making a video, and he threatened to sue him if he kept it up, and I think that guy took it down. He was accused, but but I don't know if he was ever convicted. So I'm not, yeah, sorry. Trying to keep chat involved here. Continuing.
So if in a Islamic state with the Sharia conditions all being perfect, in principle, I condemn stoning a woman to death.
Okay.
Right? Do you, with Sharia conditions being present in an Islamic state, condemn stoning women who are adulteresses to death?
Yes or no? Can I? No, there is no yes or no answer. Can I ask him a question? Can I ask him a question?
Why is there no yes?
Likewise, Majid. Can I?
Why is there no yes?
No.
Nicky, can we get an answer? Because I answered his question. Can we not get an answer?
He misrepresented.
Do not let him get away with no answer. I answered his question.
Wait. I want to know. Wait.
You have to let
Are
me
you going
talk.
to answer yes or no?
No, there's no yes or no answer to this question.
When it's okay and accepted to be gay in Islam, that is not, it's a loaded question, but I'm sorry. You either be gay or you be Muslim. No one is forcing you to be a Muslim. No one's
I mean, I will speak out, continue to speak out, and you're right to identify however you want, because what we're hearing right now is, and you guys can also think whatever you want, the danger with literalism is in insisting that there is only one interpretation and one way of doing things. If we take that literally, if we take literalism literally, then only 200 years ago, slavery was accepted and justified by religion. Let me finish. The Quran explicitly and literally, let me finish and make this point. The Quran literally allows for slavery, as does the Bible, but we no longer practice it because our attitudes and interpretations have changed. There is no one Muslim community. There is no one way of interpreting things. If he wants to identify as being Muslim, as this gentleman here said, Abdullah, he said he's not going to tell him he's not a Muslim, and I applauded him for that. He said he's not going to discriminate against him. You just did, and so even he disagrees.
Majid, can I ask you a question, Majid? Do you believe in this concept of an Islamist state? Majid, do you believe in the concept? Because your tweets say you do. And secondly, do you believe in chopping off people's hands when
hang on, right? Let him answer you. Majid, do you agree?
Let's finish with the other point. So that notion is absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
that's the radicalization process.
Can I bring you back to Harassy's questions, please? Do you want an Islamic state? Do you want a caliphate? Would you, with thieves, chop their hands off? Would you stone adulterers to death?
Okay, if you look at the
yes or no, Majid, it's dead straightforward.
Yep. Yeah, this is it. The international polls that are done by.
He won't answer the question.
Would you like a caliphate, and would you apply Sharia law in all its ways? So we are talking about adulterers being stoned to death, homosexuality, of course, that would be punishable by death, and thieves would have their limbs chopped off. Is that something that you would like to happen?
These terms that you're mentioning are quite loaded.
No, I know, but it's only a yes or no. It's dead straight. If you said to me, do I support Manchester United? The answer is yes, I do. What's the answer, please?
Yeah, the answer is most Muslims will desire this.
So not yes or no?
No, I don't say yes or no to this, but the thing is we need to study what Islam is. We need to study what a caliphate would bring into the world arena and take it from there. So I think most Muslims, including myself, yes, we would support this.
Okay, and I'm going to...
To be fair, he actually answered in the end. Most of them were evading, but he did answer. I can confirm that she is not. She has a seductive South American accent. Although I don't think she meant it to be, it just sounded seductive to me. Which question are you talking about? I'm not showing chat at the same time that it was posted, so it's hard to know. Is Unruly Rao? Is that the same person? Who's that? I'm lost. Right. Well, it makes sense. It's kind of what I was saying before. If you actually believe that this is like the commandments of God, or this is like significant to your religion, then you don't really have much of an option unless you're going to claim. I mean, what are you going to do? Say that you're like a half Muslim? That's the problem with religion, in my opinion. Like it's an objective morality, which I don't think exists. Is that so? Do you have evidence of this? Like, are you certain? Is Justin Downing the person that that called him out? Because it might be the same guy I was thinking of. Sounds nice. I'm about to frickin' try to invest in one of those. They like attach to your desk, and it's like a rollout to where you can put your keyboard, because I don't like my keyboard being up here on top of the desk. I'm used to having it below. So my desk doesn't have that, so I'm probably going to buy something to fucking attach that I can make it work that way. All right. There's a lot of them. There's an award-winning photographer who creates stills for film, television, and advertising. Is that the one you're talking about? I prefer to get things on Amazon. I'm not a fan of doing, like, going to stores and shit. I like to frickin' just, boom, purchase it right here at the computer. And then in a day or two, it shows up. Unless it's extremely complicated or something, I don't know. I get that. A lot of people think they stink. I love the smell and taste. Why do you need to be able to switch screens? I've never really understood it. Like, a lot of people have multiple screens, but I could probably hook up my other monitor if I wanted to, but I really don't see any real need. It would probably just distract me. Rash is probably going to watch this and have some stuff to say. He's more than welcome to counter anything or have his own time. Makes sense. I guess I just don't have, personally, I don't have a need for that. Anyhow, if no one wants to come up or anyone doesn't want to like have anything else that you might find interesting that's relatively short video wise, then I'm going to be shutting down here very soon. I never understood why they had issues. I know Armand wants to have a debate with me on religion. He seems relatively intelligent, so I think it would be an interesting debate or conversation, whatever it turns out to be. But he seems to have not a lot of free time. When he's like responding to my DMs on Discord, like it's like a day or two later, then he'll respond and he's like, so when are we going to do the debate? And then I give him like my availability times, and then it's like a day or so later. So he seems to be very busy. It might be hard to work out exactly when I'm going to be able to get to him. Rose not available right now, but he is great to have on. He's entertaining as fuck. Home blocked you, D? I like to get washed and smell good, not like burnt toast. I take showers twice a year. A debate on circumcision, I could, but I would need someone that like disagrees with me, or we could have even a discussion on it. But yeah, it's an interesting one. The deal, as always, is having, like, I'll talk about anything, and there's many topics that I don't really know shit about, but I'll at least give my opinion on the little I do know, and I'll talk about whatever. But you have to be willing to, I mean, I have to be able to have other people that are willing to talk about it. Home is fake. I don't know anything about why. You may have done something to deserve it, or you might be trolling and he hasn't even blocked you. I don't know. Or you blocked him, maybe. That's true. I don't have very strong opinions on it. And also, it's something that I really don't know a shit ton about. I know that for the most part, it's been religiously motivated, but I think there are practical reasons to consider circumcision versus not on both ends. There's pros and cons on both, I think. I would hope so. Send them damn things to my DMs, guys. I could see that. It's kind of weird. Like, I'll say that my son has been, and I didn't really think about it much. To me, it was mainly it's like a fad or a popular thing, and I figured that he would probably have less. He would have issues later in life socially if I didn't. That was my line of thinking. Although honestly, I didn't really put a lot of thought into it. But being there and watching it, it is sort of fucked. Like, it didn't seem to be like painful, but they distract them by giving them like sugar. And of course, like the child's like all into the sugar, and then bloop, and then they do it. I have heard that it reduces sensation to some degree, or it can at the very least. But again, I'm not an expert on any of this. It's not funny, dude. This is my wife we're talking about. I've heard many reasons, well, on both sides. I really don't know what is everything. I think that's unprofessional. unless there's like massive important reasons that are like medical related. What did the nurse say? Talking about female genital mutilation. I don't know a whole lot about that either, to be honest. Yeah, my son's was done at birth. That does tend to be one of the arguments for circumcision. What was the points that she was making? Be fair to her position by explaining what her points were. Like, what was she using to try to convince you that you should? And I've heard that too. Like, I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard that it's not traumatic, and then I've heard that it is, that it causes some sort of like issues in the brain because it's like very disturbing for them, or it can at least. But I don't know if that's true or not. Fair enough. Could be. That is true. You guys are trying to make me think I'm a monster for what I decided. Then again, the mother played a role there too, and she was pretty pro circumcision. And honestly, at the time especially, I didn't know shit. It was purely just, I thought that socially it would be better for him because a lot of women tend to look down on men that aren't circumcised, at least around here. I don't know why. Or maybe that's just what I've heard and it's not true. I think it's a valid thing to talk about. The pros and cons. Come on up, Myth. We need to hear you sing like Madonna. Come up here and do Like a Virgin. I'll do it with you. If there's a lot of evidence for it, then I agree. If it's outlawed, then there won't be people like me that don't know what the hell's going on, that just go, hey, let's do it. You can still do it. You can come on and sing like a virgin in a cheerleading outfit. My cat keeps thinking I'm talking to him and he's freaking out. I don't know. I think it's a skill like anything else. I sing all the time and I can't sing for shit. I just don't give a fuck. I do it anyway. But I have a lot of respect for people who can. Rash gave me a link to Meep Moop, who used to come on chat before. She has a channel and she actually like does actual singing. And she's pretty damn talented. Here, actually, I can advertise her real quick. She's like the real version of me. Let me find just something real quick. I'll give you a taste. Calm down, Bagheera. This is Meep Moop's channel. Hopefully she don't mind that I'm advertising her. We'll do one video. Ooh, paint it black.
I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I see a line of cars and they're all painted black, with flowers and my love both never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like a newborn baby, it just happens every day. I look inside myself and see my heart is black. I see my red door, I must have it painted black. Maybe then I'll fade away and not have to face the facts. It's not easy facing up when your whole world's black. Wanna see it painted, painted black. Black is night, black is cold. I wanna see the sun lighting out from the sky. I wanna see it painted, 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 painted black. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually talked to her once about it. She was in one of Space Chat, or maybe it was the one before that. I'm bad with dates. But yeah, I told her if you could find a way, mesh like what you've got great like vocal talent. So take your vocal talent and add more entertainment to it. Like if you had better presentation skills, I was trying to be constructive and not like tearing her down because she's really fucking good at what she does. But yeah, I think she could be huge if she just added more entertainment value. That's just my opinion. I don't know shit about songwriting at all. True, there might be reasons for that. Like, I had back when I was with Christy Krebs, like way back in the TYT days, I would always get shit from her because she's like, I feel like you're not real because you're never looking at the camera when you're singing. It's like you're faking. And I'm like, it's because I'm reading fucking lyrics. Like, I don't know these songs by heart. So I have to like look at the lyrics. So I can't I mean, it's not a huge difference, but this is literally looking at the camera. This is me looking at the screen where the lyrics would be. But I don't really have an option unless I were to like remember it by heart. And I don't know. I don't see me doing that. I have a terrible fucking memory. What's that? A disorder? And then there was a song to where I knew the lyrics more. And so I actually took them because I thought about it. She made me kind of self-conscious. So I thought about it. And during one of the parts that I knew, I think it was like a main chorus or something, I looked up and she's like, now you're being real. Yes, they were. I think my very first one it wasn't actually on video. It was just an audio recording of me singing I'm a Little Teapot. Oh, right. I'm on the spectrum myself. Although I haven't been actually tested. I guess I should say I strongly believe I'm on the spectrum myself. I don't know if it's far enough for me to be diagnosed, though. I don't think I know any song completely by heart. Well, guys, I'm shutting down. I may come back on and try to see who's available later on tonight or in between if someone shows up or someone posts in Discord that they're interested in something. But for now, it's kind of exhausted my baiting. So you guys have fun and take it easy.